This Priory of Zion that features here is supposed to have created the Knights Templar as its military arm. Now, the Knights Templar are, in fact, the subject of many fables and misunderstandings. You might be interested to know that the seal of the Knights Templar is the seal of Brother Bertrand de Blancafort, Master of the Temple. The Charter of 27 April of 1168 involves two knights on one horse. That's the symbol of the Knights Templar. They were a brotherhood. They did get a lot of, because of their posture as an order of service, they got a lot of donations. And when they were in Jerusalem during the Crusades, they became very wealthy. That gave rise to the legends that they discovered the temple treasures. And there's all kinds of fables about this that look very unreliable, but they themselves are the subject of many fables and myths. And some of this even gets tangled. Oh, now, the other thing that gets coupled with this thing, of these many legends, is the quest for the Holy Grail. Presumably, they're chasing the cup that captured the blood of Jesus Christ. That Joseph Arimathea gets tangled up in this thing, too. So we have all these legends of the Holy Grail, and they even get tangled up with the King Arthur legends in Britain. So there's much folklore and myths that surround the Holy Grail. But and there's many stories that they did get very, very wealthy, and they were very powerful in Europe because of their financial strength. So much so that King Philip of France, who was ruling a bankrupt country, accused them in order to get their lands and money. He accused them of Satan worship, and Pope Clement at first went along with this until he realized what he was doing, and then even he annulled the trial. There's a whole thing about this, but the idea that the Knights Templar are the military wing of the Priory of Zion is just a fiction of the author. And by the way, when we were in Ethiopia, it was interesting. One of the things to see in Ethiopia are these elaborate temples built by the Knights Templar. They're known as caves, really, because they're designed to be under the ground. I personally believe they're designed to be concealed as part of what they do. And we had a chance to take a look at, see many of them while we were there. And if you go to Ethiopia, it's at Lalibela, it's one of the things you want to see, these elaborate, but they're all below the rock level. They're carved out of the rock deeply. And so it's interesting, when you look at the ceiling, you do see the Knights Templar. Clearly, it's their work. And they're also there's visible evidence that they've left at Tanakirkos Island, where the Ark of the Covenant stood for 8 centuries. So there are some entwining here, and it's worth probably doing some homework. But in 1307, King Philip IV, pressed for funds, he used the church, his relationship with the Pope, to crush the Knights Templar, accuse them of devil worship, and to seize their lands and assets. Most books will accuse Pope Clement V to be part of that. But in fact, when he heard what King Philip had done, he annulled the trial and suspended the powers of the bishops and the inquisitors involved. But by the time he did that, it was a little too late locally. But in Portugal, Spain, Germany, Cyprus, and most of Italy, the Templars were found innocent and released. Now, there's a lot of confusion about this. You'll find many different accounts to dig into. Jacques de Molay was the last Grand Master, and in 1314, he was crucified and then burned at the stake. And there are some that believe that the Shroud of Turin is actually his shroud, not Christ's, but that's a speculation. I'm not going to get into that here. We could spend a lot of time on the Knights Templar, but the involvement in his book is very peripheral, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that.